Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Best in Slot, and welcome to a very exciting Prehistoric Kingdom devlog. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately, but this one is yet again the coolest one so far. The first one for 2021, a brand new lovely year. Let's get started. So what makes this one so exciting? And the main reason is this right here. Over the past week, the pre-alpha for Prehistoric Kingdom launched, and it's only launched to very select backers, people who backed at a very high tier. The next alpha, I believe, is coming out sometime in March. Some more general backers will also get access to the alpha version of the game. Now, unfortunately, we're not allowed to share footage of that alpha, completely understandably, but I will have screenshots later on taken from the devlog itself. As you can see, we will see alpha builds later on, so you're going to actually be able to see what people are building. Random people in the world, people just like you. Prehistoric Kingdom backers, they're just like us. You'll be able to see what they've been building on the alpha and the kind of things you'll be able to build next month, hopefully. Also, there's a Microraptor. Microraptors are cool. But there is much to cover before then as well. So, we've got a few updates here. First of all, planar reflections are in development. You can see here the T-Rex cafe is reflecting in the water really nicely. Planar reflections are, I did a little research, they are basically a more accurate version of a reflection that takes a little bit more hardware punch to activate, because what it basically does is renders the entire scene again from the perspective of the water. So it's rendering all of this a second time in the water down here. I'm assuming this is an option you'll be able to turn off if your PC isn't going to be beefy enough to handle this kind of thing. We have our development report for the month. Nothing particularly to add here. We can see that, you know, things have been implemented. The animal behaviors, the implementation of the sounds, modular assets, a lot of these have been added for the first time. Doors, windows, awnings. Things that if you were there in the alpha building your park, you'd want these little objects to be able to make more impressive builds. And it's worth noting in the devlog, it also says that more items will be added to this pre-alpha over the coming February, so we may see even cooler stuff in next month's devlog. Very exciting. But you can see here, pre-alpha 1 creative, big old tick is the first step. It's a big step, it really is. There's going to be a little pre-alpha update there, and then proper big boy alpha, and then finally the beta, which, you know, even more people get access to. More and more people will come in over time. I don't know when I'm going to be able to show you content on the game, as in video content. I think probably over here, but we'll have to wait and see. Moving on, so there's been some updates on animations and stuff like that. Animal behavior. They now idle, they walk, they run, they rest, they sleep, and they graze. They do all of that. Pretty soon, eating, drinking, and socializing will also be integrated. The hadrosaurs, as you can see this big boy over here on the right hand side, have this new really cool behavior called rearing. And somewhat like a werewolf in this particular screenshot, but the hadrosaur will rise up onto its rear legs, it'll stand up bipedally and kind of make a social call out into the sky, and it's going to be a very loud one, so it's going to call to other dinosaurs in your park in theory, and you'll be able to hear it from a distance. I think that sounds really nice. It instantly made me think of playing J-Pog, where you'd be able to hear the Brachiosaurus call from really far away, and it was like a really nice moment, so hopefully it's similar to that. We also have some really cool updates on animal locomotion, so there's two different things to talk about here. The first is bodies bending procedurally. So basically, if a Edmontosaurus is walking forward and there's a large cabbage in the way, and it's not hungry, it wants to walk around the cabbage. Usually what an animal would do, let's draw this. This is the cabbage. Edmontosaurus is walking forward, right? And what it'll do is it'll turn, and it'll turn, and it'll walk forward past the cabbage, as you would expect. But that's not really how we operate. That's not how animals operate. It's not how anyone operates. If you turn around something, you kind of bend your body around the object as well. So rather than just, I don't know how I'm going to draw this, but that's kind of what I mean. It'll kind of bend procedurally around the object as well, rather than just like walking in a different direction. It'll move its body to accompany the large cabbage. Does that make sense? Hopefully. That's about as well as I can describe it, and it could be wrong, but we also have the integration of IKs. Now, IK is inverse kinematics, something I've talked about on the channel before. Basically, when you're usually animating locomotion, what you would do is you'd, build up a walk cycle for a dinosaur, and you'd animate this bit, and you'd animate this bit, and then you'd animate this bit, and that would tell you how the animal moves forward. Inverse kinematics instead looks at the area the animal is going to walk into instead. So let's say, you know, there's a rock here, blah, blah, blah. Inverse kinematics looks at the rock, and then it calculates how the foot would move when it approaches the rock. And from that, it would calculate how all the other joints also react from that initial foot movement. So basically, inverse kinematics, as the name suggests, does the whole process in reverse, calculating it based on the area the animal is going to be. And what that means is foot placement and resulting movement tends to be much more accurate, it tends to look a lot more realistic, and it means when animals are walking uphill or they're walking over small objects and stuff like that, you shouldn't see as much weird clipping and bouncing around and stuff like that. The animal should walk naturally over varying heights. I think I've understood that correctly. Just a pretty cool little thing here. We have our Edmontosaurus, and what we have here is a display of variation within species. Both of these creatures right here are female Edmontosaurus, not even different sexes, and yet despite that there is a difference in size, there's a difference in colour, there's a difference in saturation, there's all these different factors that'll come in. So even if you had 50 just female, you know, they're having a girls' night out, 50 female Edmontosauruses plodding around your park, they should actually still all look they're not all going to look immediately unique and individual, but as a herd it should look much less homogeneous. We've got a nice little bit of basal variation in there, and apparently they can control how much that variation affects different species. So some species may look very similar across the board, some may have drastic variation. Now, as the screen suggests, it's time for the Microraptor audio bit. This is a really cool little video of the aviary, the mini aviary we're going to have in the game. It's about 45 seconds long. It just shows you lots of animations for the Microraptors, but also the sounds they're going to make and what it's going to be like to have your camera inside that aviary. So, really worth watching. Enjoy. I'll be back in a sec. Wasn't that cool? On to new buildings now. We have the information kiosk, which is a kiosk that dispenses information. In case you were curious, I don't know what else to add on that. The humans are looking better, by the way. They keep moving forward. They look really cool now. It's been a big step in the right direction. Anyways, this is a really nice looking little building. This is proper like Star Trek looking stuff. I'm a big fan of that design right there. But we also have another guest facility, the restroom. And you know, not just the restroom. I really like the style they've got, by the way. This is very consistent, this kind of metal strut, and then the planks of wood going across. You'll see that a lot. I mean, you can see it here on the kiosk as well, and even on the benches. So it's like a consistent feature of the modern style. Don't just have little baby restrooms, we've got big daddy restrooms as well. There you go, family ones, little ones. So depending on the size of if you're an early park, maybe you only want to build this one, and then later on mainly family ones. Or maybe you're just at a smaller section of the park, you don't have much room. It'll determine, you know, what you're going to use. It's just nice to have a little bit of variety and options. Sort of in the same area, we also have some new fences completed. These are the modern metal fences. These are electrified. Not the toughest fences in the world, but definitely, you know, higher level ones. They will keep in some pretty raucous carnivores. Is raucous a word I want to use? Jazzy carnivores. They come in 3 different heights, which is really cool. 2.5, 4, and 6 meters. And remember, I've also seen as you bend these around corners and up hills and stuff like that, they'll stagger in that really natural looking way. We looked at that in the past. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that they come in 3 different heights is really cool. It's going to give us incredible... I hate to use the word creative control yet again. From that one, I'll say it once per video, that's my deal. But it's going to give us really cool creative control. Not only do we have lots of variety of fences, but even if you're containing the same species or dinosaurs that have the same security requirements, or you've only got one fence unlocked, you'd be able to use all these different fences to still keep your parks looking unique and varied, and that's really cool. And they've got a nice little, you know, bit of Jurassic Park flair to them, I'd say, with the little red lights on there, which I always appreciate. They're probably your mid to late game fences, so early game you might be using something a little bit more chill, as we have here with the modern wood fence. You can see here already they come with smaller sizes. It maxes out at 4 rather than 6, and it goes all the way down to 1 rather than 2.5. And that's because you're going to be keeping in smaller dinosaurs and smaller critters. Nice fences. Don't have much else to add on these. It's just, you know, earlier game you're keeping in slightly lower key dinosaurs. Use a wooden fence. Makes sense. Final thing now before we have a look at the pre-alpha builds, very exciting, we have a look at the redesigned Protoceratops, what it's going to look like in game. One of the smallest dinosaurs in the park, only the size of a sheep. I mean, I don't know if it's a big sheep or a small sheep, or an average sized sheep. Did they calculate the sheep? I don't know, but a great looking dinosaur. Really, really like this almost snake-like patterning towards the back of the crest. We've got little spikes going down, and then they spike up just a little bit there at the tail, getting a little bit taller. Lovely, just top-level texturing and stuff like that. This bit of the body is, you could blow that texture up and use it on any. It's beautiful. And down here, I don't know if this is purposeful, but it looks like it's got like dirty feet from wandering around in the mud, which is cool, even if it's not on purpose. And look at the beak. Look at the texture detail on the beak. That's crazy stuff. Also, it has a beak, and that makes me happy. I've got to stop saying beak. I keep saying it really like hot beak. Right, anyways, time for some pre-alpha stuff. So, whilst people can't share screenshots and videos publicly of the build, obviously people are posting their builds in the private backer thingy, blah, 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 blah. And that means the devs have picked some out that they like and that they're going to showcase. So, let's get started. These ones, the next few you're going to see, are by Strix, and this is his Edmontosaurus paddock. And it's really nice. We've got like a multi-layer paddock, a big moatish area down here at the bottom. It looks, and I hesitate to keep doing this, but it looks like a Planet Zoo paddock. You could build this in Planet Zoo. You literally could. And that's a really good thing. That's a huge positive. Do not get me wrong. I really like the blending of the textures, and we can shuffle forward a little bit to see some more detail work there. Look at those rocks, guys. Oh, and the little shrubs. Oh, rocks and shrubs. Oh, amazing. It's all I want in my life. You got to remember as well, as we're looking at these, that this is the pre-alpha. As the game, I mean, look at that fence as well. Oh, it's a nice fence. As the game develops further, we'll have access to more items, more foliage, more decoration items, more items in the area, blah, 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 blah. There's lots to be added to the game yet, but still people are managing to build beautiful habitats. We have some more work here by someone else. This is AD, and I think this is their aviary, and they've, as you can see, decorated the outside. So rather than having that cage-like large appearance that the ones that we've seen in the other videos have, they've kind of bordered it up with wood, and it looks more like a house, and it looks really cool and sort of shadowed, and we can see inside it what that's going to look like, and it completely changes the look and the style of the whole thing, which I think is really cool. We have something here by Grimnir, which is a really beautiful looking habitat sort of area. Apologies about the low resolution. The screenshots were provided in low resolution. But you can see this is another Edmontosaurus, much more sort of tropical, foliage heavy Edmontosaurus habitat. I do say this is probably more my style of thing, but I love this. You can see we've got like a guest facility area over here on the right, and it probably connects over there, and there's the Edmontosauruses, and then this beautiful river going in between the two. I've ruined this already, that's a penis. But it looks fantastic. Yeah, there's a nice little indoors look there. And then finally we have this work by Cannibalistic, who has done more, again, on the retail, not the retail, yeah, the retail kind of stuff. And these huge stacks of rocks that look varied and individualistic. We've got a river down there, and then it raises up, and they've built this sort of pier, dam, boardwalk sort of area looking over the river. You can see the fencing on there, and then this big old building behind it. That just looks cool. It really does. And I imagine this over here might well be a habitat. As we'll see, but that's a look at their guest area. You can see how they've sort of decorated the outside and curved the paths around really nicely, and it's just, it's sexy. I don't know what else to say. It looks fantastic. And there's the inside of their Microraptor habitat as well. And actually what we can do here is just look at the difference between that one and that one. You can see already it's pretty stark difference in approach to what is the exact same dinosaur, and that's without the custom lighting and all of that kind of jazz as well. Even the roof is entirely different. It's just the whole thing looks completely different, but it's the same thing. That's very cool. That's exactly what we want to see. Right, blabbed on far too long. That's about it from me. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Next month we'll be back with another devlog, of course, hopefully showcasing some more builds. I might work on my own, try to get it in the next devlog. That's my goal for the month. Either way, hopefully I'll be able to show you content relatively soon, but, you know, of course, it totally makes sense that this is a still buggy phase of the game. A lot of stuff isn't integrated yet. They don't want to showcase it in a half-done, quarter-done state, so just give the devs some patience and we'll get there eventually. And of course, when we do, I will give you obsessive amounts of Prehistoric Kingdom. So very exciting. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this devlog, please do both hit the like button. That would make you super cool. Only super cool people hit the like button, but also go check out the devlog for yourselves. You'll be able to do it without me prattling on over the top. I'm going to link that down below in the description as per usual. And remember to wishlist Prehistoric Kingdom on Steam. I'll link that down for you in the description as well. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks next time. Cheers, my stuff as always. Bye-bye.